Hello everyone, thank you so much for joining me today. We'll be talking about Parashat Korach. What I'm saying is based on, again, Rav Bernstein. He's amazing, what can I say? Sharing his ideas is a pleasure for me, and I'm sure it's a pleasure for you, hopefully. So, let's go. So before, Rav Bernstein points out that, before Shem actually begin, before with, what was Korach saying, why is he saying it, how is he saying it, they actually say, why is he saying it now? They deal with timing, why now? After all, the issue that Korach brings up, making a claim that, why is the avodah in the hands of Aaron and the Kohanim? After all, at first, it was with the Mechorot, it was distributed among the Jewish people. If you were firstborn, you got into the avodah, whereas now, it's transferred to Aaron. As a Kohen Gadol, as the Kohen, it should be brought back to us. Now, the reason why this is a little bit strange, or is noteworthy at least, is because this question was actually settled many months earlier. After the Chet Egel, admittedly, the Jewish people forfeited their right to that avodah, and after Yom Kippur is when the message was transferred over to the Jewish people, that from here on out, that role of avodah is actually given over to Aaron and his offspring, and that they'll be the Kohanim and they'll be dealing with the avodah. So why is Korach coming now? That's the question. So Rav Bernstein brings out the Shiras David, the Shirat David, and the Shirat David actually is basing himself on a Ramban, because the Ramban points out, Nachmanides, what's Korach doing? He's rebelling against Moshe. In order to come up against Moshe Rabbeinu, that kind of thing, it needs a specific atmosphere to have any hope of being successful. So what was this atmosphere? What was going on around that time? The Chet HaMeraglim. This was after the Chet HaMeraglim, the sin of the spies. And what happened by the Chet HaMeraglim? There was a decree that the Jewish people will have to stay and die out in the desert for 40 years. And the Jewish people were a little surprised to see that this decree was not revoked. And that it was happening right now. And that nothing was changing. And suddenly they start having complaints against Moshe. They're like, hang on a second, what was going on? Like Moshe, remember the Chet HaEgel, when God had a decree against us back then? You prayed, and God revoked it, so I can do the same thing here. There's a decree, so Moshe pray, and have God revoke the decree. The fact that Moshe wasn't able to have the decree revoked is a sign that, Moshe doesn't really care about us anymore. He doesn't care that much about us. If he cared that much about us, he'd have the decree revoked. We're scared. We're frustrated, we're disillusioned with Moshe, and because of that disillusionment with Moshe, because of that complaint, maybe now they wouldn't be so quick to defend Moshe against people who stand against him. And just like there's a decree now that the Jewish people wanted to have revoked, it says Korach realizes now's the time to ride the wave. They're upset about a decree. Here's another decree. Why? Well, was the status of the firstborn as being the servants for the avodah transferred from us, the Jewish people, only to Aaron and his children and his offspring. And so this decree revoked too. Amazing insight into the fact that Korach smelled the atmosphere and he realized that this is where he had to step in. And another quick insight. So what was the one thing that Korach decided to say? Because unfortunately, we don't have time for that. I'm trying to keep it, nice and compact, but give a bit of time. So let's see another idea. Actually, there's a midrash that talks about the lashon used by Moshe Rabbeinu, because after all, just right here, this is a decree that was not revocable, and the Jewish people, I guess, did not realize this. They thought, if we make a mess, Moshe, you have to clean it up. They're effectively shunting off responsibility, which is not a Jewish thing to do. That's it. They just couldn't understand the message that there are some decrees that are irrevocable. They had too high a regard for Moshe, and that high regard for Moshe led to a downfall. So that's that. Now, Rav Bernstein actually pointed out an amazing idea. I really enjoyed this as well. How later on in the next Chumash in Dvarim, when Moshe is pleading with God, praying to him to allow him to enter Eretz Israel, God says no repeatedly, and Moshe keeps praying, and then God finally says, Rav Lecha. Moshe, it's much. And there's a midrash that actually connects this Rav Lecha that God uses to the Rav Lecha b'nei Levi that Moshe says back to Korach. And when the midrash says that, it almost sounds like it's like a midah keneged midah. Just like God, I'm saying Rav Lacha to you, Moshe, and it seems that you, Moshe, said Rav Lacha Levi to Korach, which makes it again seem like a mida keneged mida, and it seems like it's a punishment for that God is punishing Moshe for saying what he said back there, which is very odd because we don't normally think of God punishing Moshe for putting down the rebellion of Korach. So what's happening with this midrash? So it says Rav Bernstein, amazing insight, that what was happening here was that just as the Jewish people didn't want to understand that there was a decree and it couldn't be revoked, and Moshe says Rav Lachem Bnei Levi, that this is not going to change, so too God is tapping into that specific atmosphere. Moshe, remember how you said Rav Lachem Bnei Levi because there was a decree that couldn't be revoked? So too here, Rav Lacha, Moshe, you can't go into Eretz Yisrael. Please stop asking me. Because Rav Lacha, this is a decree that cannot be revoked. You're not going in. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed. Have a wonderful Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, and see you next week, hopefully. Enjoy.